The story of Athens is one of extraordinary growth, transformation, and conflict. Once a modest city-state, Athens rose to become the centerpiece of ancient Greece, known for its remarkable culture, philosophy, and political innovation. However, with this rise came tension, especially with another powerful Greek city-state, Sparta. This escalating rivalry ultimately led to one of the most devastating conflicts in Greek history, the Peloponnesian War. The seeds of Athenian greatness were sown in the aftermath of the Persian Wars in the early 5th century BCE. The Persian Empire, under kings Darius and later Xerxes, sought to conquer Greece, leading to a series of confrontations that tested the resilience and resolve of the Greek city-states. Athens, despite its relatively modest size, played a critical role in these wars, particularly in the naval battle of Salamis in 480 BCE. The Athenian navy, with its powerful fleet of triremes, helped deliver a decisive blow to the Persian forces, safeguarding the Greek mainland. Following this victory, Athens emerged as the leader of the Delian League, an alliance of Greek city-states formed to continue the fight against Persia and defend the Greek world from future threats. However, the Delian League quickly evolved into an Athenian empire. Athens used its dominant position to exert control over its allies, transforming what was supposed to be a mutual defense league into a vehicle for Athenian power. Athens' rise wasn't just a result of its military prowess. The city experienced a golden age under the leadership of Pericles, who ruled from approximately 461 to 429 BCE. Pericles transformed Athens into the cultural and intellectual center of the Greek world. It was during this time that the iconic Parthenon was built on the Acropolis, a symbol of Athenian greatness. Under Pericles, Athens also expanded its democratic institutions, granting more power to its citizens, though it was important to note that this democracy excluded women, slaves, and non-citizens. Art, philosophy, and literature flourished in Athens. Thinkers like Socrates began to challenge conventional wisdom, while playwrights like Sophocles and Euripides brought to life the tragedies of human existence. Athens was also a hub of intellectual debate, with thinkers gathering in the agora, the central public space, to discuss everything from politics to the meaning of life. Athens' success and expanding influence naturally stirred resentment among other Greek city-states, especially Sparta. Sparta, located in the Peloponnesus, had a completely different society and political structure compared to Athens. While Athens celebrated freedom, debate, and art, Sparta was a militaristic state that valued discipline, simplicity, and strength. Spartan citizens were raised in a rigid and austere society where military service was central to their identity. Tension between Athens and Sparta began to rise as the two city-states vied for dominance in the Greek world. The Spartans viewed Athens' growing power with suspicion and disapproval, particularly its imperial control over the Delian League. The Athenians, on the other hand, saw Sparta as backward and overly harsh, a stark contrast to their own flourishing democracy and culture. As Athenian influence spread, it began to encroach on territories and allies that had historically been under Spartan influence. This growing rivalry was compounded by the differences in their values and political systems. Athens' democratic ideals clashed with Sparta's oligarchic rule, and their different approaches to warfare, naval superiority for Athens, and land-based strength for Sparta, fueled further discord. These tensions came to a head in a series of conflicts known collectively as the First Peloponnesian War, which took place from 460 to 445 BCE. Though not as extensive as the later conflict, this period marked the beginning of open hostilities between Athens and Sparta. This war saw sporadic fighting, with periods of peace and stalemate. The two powers eventually reached a fragile truce in 445 BCE with the signing of the 30 Years' Peace. But this peace would be short-lived. During the interim, Athens continued to grow in power. Pericles was at the height of his influence, and Athens' naval empire was thriving. Trade flourished, the arts and sciences advanced, and the city's wealth increased. But beneath this golden age lay simmering tensions. Athens' imperial ambitions continued to alienate other city-states, and the balance of power in the Greek world grew increasingly unstable. The Second Peloponnesian War, which began in 431 BCE, was the culmination of years of tension, rivalry, and fear. The immediate cause of the war was a dispute between two small city-states, Corcyra and Corinth, both of which sought help from larger powers. Athens supported Corcyra, while Corinth turned to Sparta for aid. What could have been a small, localized conflict quickly spiraled into a larger war as the alliances of Athens and Sparta were dragged into the fray. This war was characterized by its scale and devastation. Unlike previous conflicts, which had often been limited to battles between city-states, the Peloponnesian War engulfed much of the Greek world. It was a protracted and brutal struggle that lasted for nearly 3 decades, marked by shifting fortunes, betrayals, and unimaginable destruction. The war also revealed deep divisions within Greek society. Athens' democracy, once a symbol of progress and equality, began to unravel under the pressure of the conflict. The war was initially popular among Athenians, who believed their navy could deliver a swift and decisive victory. But as the war dragged on and the costs mounted, public opinion began to shift. One of the most devastating events of the early years of the war was the outbreak of a deadly plague in Athens in 430 BCE. The overcrowded city, under siege from the Spartans, was a breeding ground for disease, and the plague killed a significant portion of the population, including Pericles himself. His death marked the beginning of the decline of Athenian leadership and morale. Despite this setback, Athens continued to fight, relying on its superior navy to raid the Peloponnesian coast and maintain control over its empire. But the Spartans, with their powerful land forces, were relentless. They launched repeated invasions of Attica, the region surrounding Athens, devastating the countryside and cutting off Athenian supplies. The turning point in the war came in 415 BCE, when Athens, in a moment of hubris, launched a massive expedition to Sicily. The Athenians believed that by conquering the wealthy city of Syracuse, they could tip the balance of power in their favor and gain control of the entire western Mediterranean. However, the expedition was a disaster from the start. The Athenian forces were ill-prepared for the scale of the campaign, and the Syracusans, with the help of Spartan allies, were able to repel the invaders. The Sicilian expedition ended in total failure. The Athenian fleet was destroyed, and thousands of Athenian soldiers were either killed or captured. The loss was a catastrophic blow to Athens, both militarily and psychologically. The city had overextended itself, and the once mighty Athenian empire was now vulnerable. Following the disaster in Sicily, the balance of power in the war shifted dramatically in Sparta's favor. The Spartans, with financial support from the Persian Empire, built a navy to challenge Athens' dominance at sea. Over the next several years, the war continued to grind on, but Athens was now on the defensive. In 404 BCE, after a long and grueling siege, Athens finally capitulated. The city was forced to surrender unconditionally, its walls were torn down, and its navy was dismantled. Sparta, victorious at last, imposed harsh terms on the defeated city. The Athenian Empire was no more, and the glory days of Pericles and the golden age of Athens had come to an end. The Peloponnesian War was a watershed moment in Greek history. It marked the end of the classical era and the beginning of a period of decline for the Greek city-states. Sparta, though victorious, was weakened by the long war and was unable to maintain its dominance. In the years that followed, the Greek world would continue to fracture and weaken, paving the way for the rise of Macedon and eventually the conquests of Alexander the Great. For Athens, the war was a humbling experience. Though it would never regain its former glory, the city remained a center of culture, philosophy, and learning. In the centuries that followed, Athens' legacy as the birthplace of democracy and Western philosophy would endure, influencing countless generations and shaping the course of history. The rise of Athens and its eventual fall in the Peloponnesian War is a story of ambition, rivalry, and the tragic consequences of power. It serves as a reminder that even the greatest civilizations can be brought low by internal division, external conflict, and the unpredictability of fortune. Yet, through its cultural and intellectual achievements, Athens left an indelible mark on the world, a testament to the enduring power of ideas and the human spirit.